Namaste. In this video, we are going to discuss Japa as a spiritual practice. As you know, it is the most important Upasana technique used in our order and in many other orders, in so many sampradayas, by so many aspirants. Japa, the name of God, and the mantram of God, of the Ishtam, the chosen deity, this is the most important spiritual practice and the easy form of spiritual practice which all of us can perform. But there are a lot of questions regarding this Japam. In a recent retreat also, we received a lot of questions. So we thought we'll put all of that together in one video and extensively discuss what this Japam is, what the technique is, and how it works. Japa actually means chanting the name of God or the mantram of a deity, a chosen deity. So we all have our special chosen deities, Ishtam what is called, and the mantra of the Ishtam also, when you chant it, it is called Japam. So this Japa technique is the easiest, Sulabha it is, and anybody can do it, and it is a very effective, efficacious technique for the transformation of our consciousness. See, when we are taking the name of God, it has, because the name itself has intrinsic power. It is the name of God, and you are taking it in a particular way. And many of the mantras also have a bijakshara, which means the power of the deity is inherent in the mantra, and it is the name of God already. So when all this is combined, then the mantra becomes very powerful. The very definition of a mantra is mananat trayate iti mantra, which means that which liberates the mind just by chanting, just by manan. That is the mantra. And so it is the most easy technique. In fact, in Vaishnava traditions, in all dualistic forms of worship, the name of God is the primary technique for the transformation of consciousness, for bringing divine grace into our lives. The mantra does many things. For the spiritual aspirant, most of all, it is about transformation of consciousness, about love of God, about bhakti. It brings in all this. It removes obstacles from our lives, and it removes evil and sorrow, negativity, depression from our minds. It brings the delight of God. The very name brings delight. It is called Name Ruchi. The taste of the divine name removes all negativity from our lives. So it directly brings the vision of God. It is the most powerful spiritual practice which anyone can do. Only if one is well initiated into a mantra, which means there's a formal process by which the mantra is got, one, in addition to the power of the mantra, also gets Guru Shakti, gets the power of the Guru. So this we will discuss extensively what this means. What is Shaktipat? Shaktipat is a word used for this transmission of power, which is very common in Kashmiri Shaivism. From there I have borrowed the word. It actually means transmission of direct power from the Guru to the disciple. So most great spiritual stalwarts you will see, they are capable of doing this. It is done through the process of initiation, and how this is done and how the process takes place, that also we will discuss. It is always good to be initiated into a mantra rather than picking up a mantra just from anywhere or from the internet or anything like that. There are people authorized to give mantras, senior sadhus given to a lot of spiritual practice, who are able to give these mantras from authentic spiritual orders. This is how initiation has to be taken. And once we receive such a mantra, it is a powerhouse for us. And it also gives us the technique, the method by which we can practice Japam, so that it leads to whatever we are aiming at, the vision of God, the bringing great bhakti into our lives, the transformation of our consciousness, the highest knowledge. It brings all of this into our lives. Now, how is Japa done? There are 4 ways of doing Japa. One is what is called Vaikhari, or when the mantra is just uttered, or the name of God is just uttered loudly. You don't do this usually in front of others, because the mantra is something sacred, it is precious to you, It is your particular way of transforming your consciousness. So Vaikhari is usually done privately. And it can be, there are orders which recommend doing it publicly also. That is also the way of many aspirants. So in whatever way you do it, Vaikhari means to be able to say the mantra loudly, chant it loudly. Many people also practice Likhita Japa. When the mind is not concentrating on Japa, Vaikhari and Likhita are the usual ways adopted, which means either you chant the mantra loud enough for you to hear, or you write the Japa mantra. You write it again and again and again so that it finds place in your vrittis. It becomes a strong vritti, a mental thought, and that way it elevates your soul. The second way in which Japa can be practiced is what is called Upamshu, which means lip movement is there in doing this Japa, but there is no utterance of the mantra. You are mentally uttering the mantra, but your lips are moving. So most people practice Japa in this way. And the third is what is called Manasika Japa, when it is purely mental. Mentally you are uttering the mantra again and again and again, this chanting. This is also very important. The mind must get used to the sound of the mantra, the reverberation of the mantra. So this Manasika Japa is very important. It is to be aimed at. And as a result of the repeated practice of Manasika Japa, what happens is the fourth way in which the mantra can be chanted. But this way, you see, you are not doing anything. It is spontaneously arising from your heart. It is called Ajapa Japa, which means you did not do it, but it is just arising from your heart. The scintillation of the Japa mantra is going on, and you can feel the reverberance in your being. So this is a very high state. In fact, it is a state of all developed sadhaks, where they spontaneously feel the upsurge of the mantra or the name of God or the divine bhav happening to them continuously and spontaneously without any effort on their part. In fact, many powerful gurus have initiated their disciples into this Ajapa Japa straight away. If you see the life of Sri Ramakrishna, he initiated many people not in the standard way of whispering a mantra into their ear, but by just a look, an intent, or by touch. He initiated many people that way. And in fact, I can give you some instances here. Once Swami Brahmananda, who was at that time a young boy when he came to Sri Ramakrishna, he was just a young man, you can say. When he first came to Sri Ramakrishna, his name was Rakhal, and he would meditate in the Kali temple and visit Sri Ramakrishna in his room and spend time with Sri Ramakrishna, and he saw the powerful holy vibrations of emanating from Sri Ramakrishna, and the whole temple was as it were inundated with those vibrations. One day he was sitting in the Nat Mandir of the Kali temple meditating on God. What happened was Sri Ramakrishna suddenly came there in an ecstatic mood. He was in Bhav Samadhi, and he came there and looked at Rakhal and just told him, "Look, this is your mantram and this is your ishtam." And immediately Rakhal had the experience of the vision of God right in front of him. He saw his ishtam, he saw his mantram. The mantra and the ishta both were revealed to him instantly, and he was overwhelmed. He himself went into a state of ecstasy after that. So you see, Sri Ramakrishna would give initiation in this manner. The disciples' heart center ignited as it were, and then and there he had a spiritual experience. So this is an instance of how what initiation does. There are very beautiful incidents in Sri Ramakrishna's life. To Swami Shivanandaji, who was at that time Taraknath, he was also a young man who would visit Sri Ramakrishna. One day he visited Sri Ramakrishna and was serving him, and Sri Ramakrishna suddenly touched his chest. Then and there Taraknath went into a state of deep meditation, a samadhi-like state, and had Atmagnan, self-knowledge. Just the touch of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was then in an ecstatic state, and this is direct Shaktipat, the transmission of the power of the Guru into the disciple. So you see, illumination can be had directly through these forms of initiation, through the mantra, through devotion to the Ishtadevata. And in the case of Swami Niranjanananji Maharaj, this is what we call ajapa japa can be understood. Niranjanananji Maharaj also as a young man visited Sri Ramakrishna, and one day Sri Ramakrishna wrote a mantram on his tongue. Now the result of this was, for the next 3 days, Niranjanananji Maharaj went into a deep state of meditative awareness in such a way that he saw light all around him, like innumerable fireflies. Even when his eyes were closed, there was light of these like fireflies all around him, and the mantra reverberated in his heart continuously. He could not even sleep due to the constant presence and light of the mantra. And at the end of the 3 days, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and said, "What have you done to me?" Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, "This is ajapa japa. This is the continuous emanation of the mantra from the heart center." So you see, all these are very real states of, you can say, very, very rarefied states of our own consciousness, which the Guru awakens, ignites, as it were, in the disciple. That is why initiation is important. That is why mantra diksha is important. Now we will go into the preparation of the mind required for taking a mantra. With deep faith, with deep devotion, when you take the mantra, it can work magic for us. Sri Ramakrishna used to give a beautiful illustration. He used to say, you know, the human mind is like milk. The world is like water. If you straight away pour the milk into water, what will happen? You get very diluted something with which you can't do anything actually. But if you allow this milk of the mind to settle for some time, add a little bit of devotion, a little bit of curd into that, it will settle into curd. Now you churn that curd further through meditation, through japa, through spiritual practice, and extract butter. Now this butter you can place into water. It will not submerge. It is not going to, destroy itself. It will float on the water. So also convert the mind, the milk of your mind, into the butter of pure devotion and higher knowledge. And then it will float on the waters of this world. There will be no problem if you associate with the world. This conversion, this inner transformation is what Sri Ramakrishna wanted. See, this is the very purpose of all spiritual practice. To be able to convert the milk of our mind into the butter of devotion, the butter of real knowledge. If this can be done, then that mind is safe. That mind will plunge into God. This mind is the most, benign, elevated, scintillating, you can say joyful mind that one can have. In fact, this is the mind which we should be studying, the mind of the elevated sadhak, because this mind gives all the greatest bounties of life. After all, we know happiness is a state of mind. When a mind is elevated to this state through spiritual practice, it brings all bounties of life unasked. And a mind which is not trained, we know very well what the result of that mind is. It gives us all kinds of negative experiences in life. So take care of your mind. Spiritual practice is about this. And then if we ask the question, well, what exactly how exactly do we do japa? Then japa is usually done either on the fingers or on a mala. So the way to do it on the fingers will be taught to you at the time of initiation. But doing it with a mala, that is also a very good technique. It is very helpful to do it on a mala. And you have Chandan, Tulsi and Rudraksha malas available. So you can buy one appropriate to your practice. And remember, the mala is mantra specific, which means you can do only one mantra on one mala. You cannot do many mantras on one mala. So the initiated mantra, for that you have to use a mala, and you have beads of 64 or 108 available on the mala. So the way the mala is used also will be taught when the initiation is given. And usually the mantra japa is done facing the east or north direction. Many people use a japa counter. Yes, during traveling, during times when you cannot use the mala, those times definitely you can use a japa counter, but get used to practicing japa with a mala. I will tell you, it is a very, very efficacious way of doing japa. It is very helpful. One important method which you should understand how exactly to do this japa is, there is a prana-mind connection. If you can unite the japa mantra with your pranic energy within you, you know, it will work magic for you. What is this prana? It is the vital energy in our being, which expresses grossly as breath and subtly as mind activity, thoughts. Now, since your predominant thought is the japa mantra, you are thinking of the deity, the chosen deity, and practicing japa. If you now unite that japa mantra with your pranic energy, you know the bliss that will enter into the system. See, this is the glory of japa. When you unite pran with the mantra, everything starts reverberating with the mantra, as it were. The mantra now resonates spontaneously in your heart, and everything appears to be in tune with your heart. The mantra appears to be resonating everywhere. So this is a very magical technique. Only through practice it can be known. The hint I am giving you, the prana is to be united with the mantra. When you do it that way, deep harmony and peace enters into the system, and you feel the bliss of God consciousness just by the practice of the mantra. Nothing more is required. That is why the mantra yields the meaning of that mantra and the essence of that Ishta Devata. It yields all of this spontaneously. Just the practice is enough. Holy Mother used to say this, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi. Just through japa you can get the highest. Nothing more is required if you know how to do it. And this can come only through practice. What this means, uniting the mantra with the prana, what it means can be known only through practice. As we go on doing the japa mantra, it will teach us how to enter deep into the heart center. See, the pranic energy is scattered all over the body. Mainly our pranmay kosh. It circulates there, and it is the energy, the vitality you feel in your physical system. Prana can be called the physical aspect of your consciousness. If it is centered in the heart, if it is functioning deeply in the heart, and you have united your mantra there, then the whole system gets inundated with peace and bliss. In fact, this is the fruition of the mantra. So this is the way the mantra is to be done. The more we do the mantra, the more it will release its power. And this is the highest can be got just through the practice of the mantra. Another important thing which we should know about the mantra, this was also a question put to me. So, how does the mantra lead to meditation? The mantra itself will lead you into the meditative state when it is united with the pranic energy in your system. If it is not united with the pranic energy, if you are repeating the mantra just mechanically and fast because you don't have time, then this will not happen. Let me give you an example. See, suppose as an example, let's take the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Suppose you're chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, hurriedly like that. You won't feel much of anything of this kind of a practice. But suppose you sit quietly in a place, ignite your heart center, and chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Take the chant forward like this. You will see the peace and bliss that comes into your system. You have to give time for japa. You have to give your complete attention. And the heart center, that is where japa is performed. So raising pranic energy to the heart and conservation of that energy and uniting it with the mantra, this is the whole secret of japa. So one who practices, the secret is revealed to him. One who will not do the practice and you just do it mechanically, you will get very little result out of it. So give specific time for the practice of japa. I would recommend half an hour at least in the morning and half an hour in the evening. Dawn and dusk are very good periods for practicing japa. If you can do more, splendid, don't miss the opportunity. Brahma Muhurta is in fact the best time. Brahma Muhurta is exactly 1 hour 36 minutes before sunbreak, which means before dawn. So if you can do it 1 hour 36 minutes before the sun comes up, that is the most precious time for the practice of japa. Japa, if performed intensely and steadily for a long time, will transform human consciousness like magic. It will become divine. You will understand what it means just by the clarity of your awareness and by the joy you feel in your system. It's a spontaneous delight, and japa is the way. So don't miss out this very important practice. A formal initiation from an authorized guru is the greatest help, and the practice of japa, the nishtha that is required, the faith that is required in this practice, if you can muster this much, it's the most wonderful practice that we can perform. I would like to conclude by giving you some thoughts on japa from Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi. They have shown us, they have taught us that this is the most important spiritual practice which we can easily perform for the highest realization. See, Sri Ramakrishna says, suppose there is a big piece of timber fastened to a chain and to a pole and lowered into the waters of the Ganga. By proceeding link by link in that chain, you can lay your hands on the timber. See, in those days, timber used to be immersed into the waters of the Ganga and tied with a chain to a log, to a pole actually, fastened on the banks of the Ganga. So they would lower the timber before it was sent to paper mills and all that. The timber had to soak in the water. When timber absorbs water, it sort of sinks, it doesn't float on the surface. Now, if you want to extract that timber, you have to proceed link by link using that chain. So Sri Ramakrishna is giving this example, which he must have observed this in the Ganga. So he is giving this example from everyday life, that by proceeding link by link, you can get that timber, you can extract that timber. The pole is we ourselves. The chain is our japa mantra, and the timber is God. You can extract God consciousness by proceeding link by link on that chain. So this is how japa is to be performed. Again, Sri Ramakrishna says, there is great power in the seed of God's name. It destroys ignorance. A seed is tender and the sprout soft. Still it penetrates the hard ground. The hard ground of our mind is to be penetrated through the seed of God's name. Once the sprout comes up and yields fruit, you will understand the sheer beauty of spiritual practice. It is the most satisfying states of mind, higher states of, you can say, bliss are generated just through the practice of these kind of spiritual disciplines. Then only we will understand what a blessing the mind is and how we were using it. Until we come to the life of sadhana, we will not understand this. So then Sri Ramakrishna says, that is why cultivate the taste for God's name. Name ruchi. Once we get this higher taste, lower taste will automatically fall. You don't have to struggle with it. Just cultivate the love of God by taste for His name. That ruchi, that taste has to be cultivated. And then Sri Ramakrishna has also said, higher than worship is japa, and higher than japa is meditation. This leads to bhav, mahabhav and prem, the highest love for God. When one attains prem, one has the rope to tie God. Holy Mother, look at this incident. On 25th February 1913, Swami Arupananda carried a tiny banyan seed to Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi in Kolpada ashram and said, "Look, Mother, this seed is smaller than the seed of red spinach, and yet from it comes the huge tree. What a wonder!" Holy Mother said, "Why not? Just see how small the bija of the Lord's name is. Yet from that springs forth in due time spiritual consciousness, devotion, ecstasy and prema, the highest love for God." So this is the power of the Lord's name. Holy Mother also used to say, the easiest and best way of solving the problems of life is to steadily take His name. And many times she advised chanting the Lord's name, the mantram, 15,000 to 20,000 times a day will bring you full control of your own mind. So you see, there are ways to control and pacify the mind. There are ways to transform the mind. There are ways to transform our consciousness into the highest, into divine consciousness. Remember that point where human consciousness stands radically transformed into divine consciousness, what is called the yoga avastha, comes directly through practices like these. So never dispense with them. Never think that, oh, well, we have no time for all this. These are the most important aspects of life because they introduce us to the deeper life, the real refreshing life, the life in bliss, the higher states of mind. They usher us into all this. So japa is the most important and efficacious technique. It only requires practice. The more we practice, the more the japa mantra itself will open up our consciousness towards the highest. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.